Well, this is a little slideshow of our 75-day trip, and this is, I thought I'd narrate it. This is just at O'Hare. Something on the wall there. Now, our first stop was in Venice. It was a really crowded day. Uh, this is a view from the water of St. Mark's Square. It's the Doge's Palace on the left. That's St. Mark's there. We took a gondola ride at night. That's just looking back at the main canal. The Ponte Vecchio. Now we're in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Had this beautiful river. This is what it took for us to get to our room. It was a lot of stairs. Patti goofing around. This is the restaurant and bars that all along this river. It was a beautiful city. Just great time there. Went up to Lake Blade. We took 1,000 pictures of these two places. It's called Lake Bohine. It's just a gorgeous view. Went into a cave that was absolutely humongous. This is just a part of the entrance. That's Patti over there. Then we went to Rovinj in Croatia. And, yep, time to do laundry. That's Rovinj from the water. It's a beautiful town on the water in Croatia. We found a little private island, really almost to ourselves, and this was what the view was. We hung out here a couple of days. Just a typical small little entrance to a place in the old town. This is the view out our room down at the festival that was going on, and of course we had to go to the aquarium, and that was the whole aquarium right there. Went on a truffle hunt with dogs, digging up truffles that look like that. Those are black truffles. This is the view from the truffle farm. Went to Plitvice Lakes, a national park inland in Croatia. I bet we took 500 pictures here today. You can't even begin to capture. There's 10 lakes that flow down from one to another. And it's just kind of waterfalls, and you walk alongside it, on top of it. The view of just kind of what it felt to walk along this place. Kind of what it looked like from the top. A cemetery in Croatia. Now we're in Split. This is a palace that was built in 300 for Diocletian, and then it turned it into the town of Split in Croatia. This is Patti. When I climbed the top of the bell tower, and this is what Split looks like from above.
This is what Split looks like.
Very old city. Was it built in 300? This is the beach. A beach we went to. All rocks. Went on a sunset cruise. We saw lots of places where Game of Thrones was filmed, including that space there. And this is part of the old wall that was built in 300. And now we're in Korčula. This is our view. Not our view. That we were on this island. Kind of, it's a peninsula on an island, if that makes sense. This is just kind of old towns and what they look like. There was a fire across this. We were on an island on the mainland. There was a fire, a big fire, and three of these planes were just diving down and picking up water, and we watched them for hours one day. Rented a scooter and drove all around the island. Hit wineries, another cemetery. It's kind of the view back, look into the mainland in Croatia from the island. Croatia has more than 1,000 islands. I guess they have a large bunny population as well. Just sitting, chilling. before we headed to Dubrovnik, the jewel of the Adriatic. This is the main drag through town. This is just, it's a walled city that you can walk on the top of the walls. This is looking back at it. It's why Game of Thrones is filmed there. It's just unbelievable views, and this walking up on a wall is a famous scene from Game of Thrones was filmed on these stairs, and you can do tours. We did a Game of Thrones tour, so we could sit in a chair, and then we had to hit some gelato, of course. Only one picture of gelato, but we had it a lot. This is Dubrovnik at night, which is wonderful, because during the day it was horrible, just jam-packed. But this is the steps up to our Airbnb, and this is what it looked like inside in Kotor, Montenegro. It was crazy. Kotor is a beautiful city on the water in Montenegro, which is just south of Croatia. Again, another walled city. We hiked up to the top of the mountain that looks down on top of it.
Okay, what's going on here?
We are hiking. We're very winded, and we're hiking up this side of the mountain above
She's explaining we went
Kotor.
1,400
It's 1,400 steps up to the top.
steps.
We're maybe 2/3, I'm guessing. It's incredible.
We were about 2/3 the way up. That's not even all the way up. We saw these rock structures all around in lots of places. We found a bar, of course. Went there every day. It's right outside of our room. And yet, more laundry. We went on Kotor's on the water, so we took a boat ride. A little fishing village right there. And this is Montenegro. So we left Kotor and we were going to Podgorica, the capital. This is just taken from the bus, just to give you a sense of what Montenegro looked like. The bridge in Podgorica. Now we flew over to Sicily. First town we stayed in was Syracuse. That's our Airbnb apartment there. It's a Greek amphitheater. A lot of Greek and Roman, of course, but a lot of Greek things all in Syracuse because it's so close to Greece. Like a reflective wall, we took our picture in. Caprese, we had a ton of that, but just thought that was delicious. Now we're in Agrigento. Again, another Greek city. We were there for just a day or two. Went to Taormina. It was raining. The first time we had rain, and Patti was sick for 3 days. So not a lot of pictures. This was the view out of our room before we went up to the Amalfi Coast and spent about a week here. This is just up at a villa. You can pay to go into their gardens. It's spectacular. Portofino. That was Patti. I went up to Pompeii, a town that was covered in ash by Mount Vesuvius. And this is the crowded part to get into and to see the brothel. It was absolutely crazy, the number of people going into this one building. The artwork was pretty cool. Still, that's a sad story about a dead person that you could recover. And they liked their artwork. Top of Mount Vesuvius. And some cheese. Before we went to Florence. We were in Florence for 12 days. The view, most popular view of Florence up on the Piazza Michelangelo. That's Ponte Vecchio. This is the view of our, we sat here and read at night. That was our Airbnb, and went on a scooter, rented scooters, and drove through the Tuscan countryside, and we climbed that bell tower, Giotto's bell tower, next to Went to a gelato and pizza making class in a house. First thing we did when we got to Florence was went back to see the David. It's just so beautiful and spectacular. We went into an uncountable number of churches on this trip. These are just a couple I'd put in here in Florence. That one was spectacular. That's a church as well. The Medici's Church. This is a picture from the bell tower when we climbed the bell tower. The gates of heaven at the baptistery. This is inside the baptistery. The ceiling. Now that's Dante's death mask that was stolen in a Tom Cruise movie. Now we're in the Uffizi with some of the most spectacular art ever created. The Birth of Venus. Leonardo da Vinci. Baptism of St. John. It's the Da Vinci Room at the Uffizi. Another Da Vinci, and this was a shield. It was really cool. This is the Ponte Vecchio looking out from the Uffizi. Went to a pasta making class, and this is Patti making pasta. I went to this guy's house, and we're making homemade ravioli in this part here. Then we went over to Lucca. We rented a bike, and we rode all around Lucca on the top of the town has a wall. This is a saint in an altar, and yeah, that's the saint. It was really, really creepy. And headed off to Pisa. Here we are in Pisa, doing what you have to do in Pisa. I don't think you're allowed to go to Pisa without taking these pictures. Then up to the Cinque Terre. The Five Lands, and we got there the day after a major storm, so people were cleaning up. And this is the view out of our Airbnb, looking down at Monte Rosa, is the city that we stayed in. There's 5 cities all along the coast of the Cinque Terre, and you can walk between them, about 2.5 hours between each of them, hiking like there. And so this is just one of the other towns that we would have walked to. This is the path that we went on for 2.5 hours, going down from Monte Rosa to Verona. But when you get there, that's the view. Up to Lake Como. It's at the end of the season, so it was very quiet on Lake Como. This is our Airbnb. Looking out at Lake Como. Patti looking for George Clooney. He lives down that way. This is a famous villa that we went to that we took this picture because it's the exact same shot that was used in Star Wars. This is Verona where we stayed. It was just quiet. No one was there. All the restaurants were closed. The hotels were closed. We were the only people. Which was kind of nice at the end of our trip, actually. We took a train up to San Moritz, kind of a scenic train that had the windows that curved up over the top, and that's San Moritz, Switzerland. We just went up and back in the same day. Now we're in Milan. This is the Duomo in Milan, the 4th largest church in the world. This picture does not even begin to capture how big this building is. Then Interlaken, Switzerland. It's unbelievable. The top of Europe. These mountains right there behind my head is the highest mountain in Europe that you can get to. James Bond was shot here. It's kind of commercialized, just a small little Swiss village that we saw, and Patti stopped and took a picture in front of an old barn. That's a funicular. It's a train that goes up a very, very steep hill. And this is looking down on Interlaken. It's a beautiful time of the year. We finally had fall colors. We're in November at this point of the trip, but that's what Switzerland looks like in November. The Swiss money was really, really beautiful, but it was a very expensive place. Off to Lucerne, the second place we went to in Switzerland. We were there about 3 or 4 nights. A bridge that goes across the water. It was across the river. There's a lake, Lake Lucerne, and we went for about a 4 hour, 3 hour boat ride all along Lake Lucerne. And this is the view. Our last day, we're in Zurich. We saw an Accenture office. It was really kind of funny. So as we went to Lake Zurich, which and then the last night we were in. There was a holiday party where they had they put lights on the buildings and had this bar. It was really cool. And then day 75, we came home.